professional courtesy.
Thank you. I don't think it's any secret that I've single-handedly raised the unit price of your ratings book.
Our ratings book price? Whoa.
I'm a very fast learner. We had a conversation where I specifically mentioned that. Do you remember that? Well, do you?
Yes.
I recently learned, for instance, that most Americans watch local news to stay informed. I also learned that the average half hour of Los Angeles television news packs all of its local government coverage, including law enforcement, budget, transportation, education, and immigration, into 22 seconds. Local crime stories, however, not only usually led the news, but filled 14 times the broadcast, averaging 5 minutes and 7 seconds. KWLA relies heavily on such stories. With Los Angeles crime rates going down, I think that makes items like mine particularly valuable, like rare animals. I can only imagine that your needs will increase during next month's rating sweeps period.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate what you do.
There are certain good things about being alone. You have time to do the things you want to do, like study and plan, but you can't have dinners like this or be physical with a person. I mean, outside of flirtationship.
Where are you going with this?
I want that. With you. Like you want to keep your job and your health insurance.
Look, just for starters, I don't need you to keep my fucking job.
You're the news director on the Vampire Shift of the lowest rated station in Los Angeles. We have what could be considered an almost exclusive relationship. There are many other places I could go. I have to think that you are invested in this transaction.
Here you are. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Where did you get the balls to even suggest something like this?
We're still talking.
No, there's nothing more to say.
You can leave.
Hey, I'm Kyle. Thanks for joining me and Andy for the Legendary Creature podcast. So, if you're listening with your kids or your conservative grandma, maybe don't, because we swear.
Or you can check us out on YouTube, because hey, that's no place for conservative old women or children.
Fuck yeah.
All right, let's just do it, okay? God, let's just record a podcast already.
Dude, welcome back. Can we like cue up the welcome back Cotter music? Like
Welcome back, Cotter. Yeah, it's been too long for me. I forgot that I have a podcast there for a minute.
Did you bring me back some bear meat, dude?
It's the only meat you'll eat.
It's the only meat I've eaten in the last decade.
If I tried to find bear meat in Alaska, I would have never left Alaska. They would kill you for something. No, I'm just kidding. They actually like to kill those bears up there. Like they,
yeah,
I heard a lot of crazy stories. Like there was one in the kitchen and we just shot it in the face. I'm like, what? These are sacred animals. Why are you? Yeah, it was eating some porridge and sleeping in everybody's bed, and we just shot it in the face. Like, you guys have no respect for your own wildlife, except for when it comes to like bald eagles. It's like they don't fuck around when it comes to bald eagles. But yeah, it's been a busy run, finishing the degree.
Yeah, Andy is officially a bachelor now.
Officially a bachelor, and then I'm back up in August. It's a short
time to become a master.
A short break, and then yeah, obviously the obligatory vacation. I hate. You know this. I don't like traveling. It's not for me.
It's not for you, indeed.
It's not for me. So I was in the Seattle airport on the way back, right? And you know that a huge piece of me
I think you left a piece of yourself in the air above Seattle when you and I were flying back from Cambodia.
That wasn't it was over Siberia. Yeah. When we were flying to Cambodia, that's where the trouble began. So up until that trip, like I really hadn't had an attitude about flying at all, you know?
But yeah.
And yeah, so a couple years ago, me and Kyle decided for whatever reason to go to Cambodia. And we had this whole trip planned and a bunch of people were going to go. And, you know, we planned it like a year out, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, the reason being is that Kyle actually speaks fluent Cambodian, weirdly. And Go figure. But, you know, you're like, hey, I'm going to go to Cambodia. You guys can come with us. Let's just go. And it ended up only being me that ended up going on this trip. Well, previous to this excursion, I had been to like California, you know, I mean, we live in Utah, but I've been like, I'd flown to California like once or twice. I think I flew to Arizona. Like these are very short trips.
Yeah, so like 90-minute flights as opposed to like 24 hours spent in airplanes.
Yeah.
Very different.
So we're flying over Cambodia or not Cambodia, Siberia. So we're on our way. They do the polar route. They go up and over the pole and down through, you know, Siberia and then down into China. But you're asleep. You're fucking gone.
Yeah,
like,
I have a strategy. I've taken sleeping pills at LAX. I'm disappearing.
Yeah, I have no notion of this tribal knowledge of traveling great distances in an airplane about chemically inducing sleep or any of that, right? So we're in the airplane and the plane just starts like shaking a little bit, you know? And at the time I'm just kind of like, well, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, like, it's plunging down. We're losing lots of altitude very quickly. Very just out of nowhere, right? And you're I'm the only white guy that's awake on this plane.
Yeah, it's like South China Airlines. Like there's a bunch of people heading back to China.
There's a bunch of Chinese people, so I can't like look at anybody and go, "Are we gonna die?" You know. But you know, I've heard stories about people experiencing extreme turbulence, and one of the things that you're supposed to do is to make yourself kind of calm the fuck down. Is look at the flight crew and see how inconvenienced they are by it. Like that it's just like, yeah, it's just another day in the neighborhood for them. So I look over and I see this chick, like the flight attendant, scrambling to get to her spot that she's the place
like
that
so
she's
she
supposed.
can buckle in.
She is running away, like, oh my God, what has happened? Like just scrambling towards this seat. And dude, I just start freaking the fuck out, dude. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm gonna die. This trip, Kyle's killed me on this trip. And I look over at you. And, you know, it's like that scene from Aliens where they're like plummeting towards the planet and the chick comes on the thing and she's like, we're in for some chop. And like everyone's like pretty scared and freaked out. These are all like hardcore Marines. And there's one guy, Hicks, who's just dead asleep and his head's like lolling back and forth. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I'm just like flopping around. Like,
yeah, I had read somewhere that like if you ever experience like something like falling down while you're asleep, your ears are supposed to catch that and wake you up. So like if you're in a bunk bed and suddenly you fall, your ears will know and be like, whoa, we're falling, and then like wake you up. That's not true, dude. We were losing hundreds of feet in altitude through this thing, and you're just sleeping right the fuck through it. Dude, that moment like programmed a fear of flying into me. Like from then on, my attitude towards, I am highly resistant.
You're like, is there a car? Is there a bus? Is there a train?
Is there a
I'll
boat?
take those.
I'll try them all before I am terrified of just getting in an airplane from then on. Well, anyway, so fast forward to now. I mean, this was like, I've been on flights since then. And yeah, man, like I got my ritual of like looking at turbulence reports and like, dude, it's just
how bumpy is it going to be? What do I need to expect?
Right, and taking a shit 6 or 7 times leading up to getting into the airplane to make sure like my bowels are completely evacuated, you know. So, you know, I'm at that stage in my ritual at Seattle, like we're supposed to be coming home, and you know, so I'm in there, I'm peeling one out, and I look at this sticker in the stall, and it says, "If you are being forced to fly against your will, call this number." And I reach at I nearly reached for my phone to say, my girlfriend is making me go on this trip. She's making me get on this airplane and I don't know what to do. And I'm in the bathroom with my pants
Please
down.
help me.
Yeah. Like this is my one way out. It'll end our relationship at the same time and potentially incarcerate her, but I get
But you won't have to take that couple hour flight from Seattle to Salt Lake.
It's an hour and 49 minutes. And the minute, like, I had my stopwatch, my like little calculator watch. The second we started moving, I went go, and I was like, here we go. It better be an hour and 49 minutes, and
You're
not
like every
not a
15
second.
seconds looking at your watch, like.
Yeah, and I didn't know it beeped every 10 minutes or something like that. It would beep. I bet I annoyed everybody on that flight. I'm like sitting there bouncing my leg, because that's my other
Like
strategy.
nervous
Is
shake.
when we're on the airplane, I bounce my leg incessantly so I don't feel anything. So if we do encounter like any mild turbulence, nope, that's just my legs bouncing. It's not turbulence. I'm shaking around like a fucking wild yeah, dude, it's.
So in real life, Andy's real magic tricks are to evacuate his bowels multiple times and shake his leg a lot so he can't sense movement.
Dude, it works. It works, I can't measure turbulence if I can't, or I can't feel turbulence if I can't measure it. But anyway, yeah, man, it's good to be back. I'm here to talk about something.
Fuck yeah.
So I think the expectation for me to do something about Niv-Mizzet is
it's present. People are waiting.
Yeah, that's pretty high. And I gotta say, like, as much as I love the character, this is not to really talk about Game of Thrones too much. This was a really weird subversion of expectations to end on a Niv-Mizzet that we're at now, a 5-color one.
Yeah, that is actually kind of weird.
Like, I mean, I thought maybe give him one more color. Maybe he's just like a little pissed off, like, I don't know, mean Raiden from the
Why don't they make us like a new Grixis dragon, right? Like, they've got this guy that's off in exile.
Or what if he was just like
put in prison,
a Jeskai version? So he's just like, I don't know, like this weird mirror. I don't know, whatever. But 5-color is not
Niv-Mizzet the Enlightened.
Not where I saw things going. And also, like, a unified Ravnica was not a place that I thought we were going to end up either.
Yeah.
Not to again reference Game of Thrones too, about really didn't see that one coming too, where everybody's just fine with everything.
We're good.
Yeah, but I've been trying to crack out a list, and I try pretty hard to. So like Vanifar, like I put a really pretty weird deck restriction on myself with that one when we did the Simic episode.
Yeah, just to make it something interesting and unique.
Yeah,
and
I don't have a way to escape it like we did for the Guild series where I picked older commanders. So like when we did the Grohl thing, I was like, well, I'm going to do Wart, like I'm going to do Wart the Raid Mother, right? Or,
yeah.
So it's a new card. I have to I got to do something about it. Like he's my boy,
For sure.
Whether he looks different.
You've got that like Niv-Mizzet body pillow in your bed, so.
Yeah, I wish. But looking at him, like the more I think about it, there really isn't a lot of variability here where it comes to card choices. And I've been thinking a lot about, is this unique to this card, or are there some other commanders that are out there that are like that?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
So let me ask you something. Let me just throw this out here, like just to get a pulse on what you think this term means. When I say good stuffs, what comes to mind?
When you say good stuffs, I think of it as things that are generally applicable, generally valuable in a particular color or color set.
So the word generally, I guess you said that a couple times. Like they're just, what do you mean by that, generally?
So I think the first thing that comes to my mind is,
like give me a prototypical good stuff.
So let's
like,
get
is
into
good stuff's a strategy? Is it a card? Is it a commander? Is it a philosophy? Like what?
To me, I would say it's kind of like it's good stuff in the philosophy for the color or color pairings that you're using.
Okay.
So you and I, off the mic, we were talking about Simic earlier, right?
Yeah, right.
And the idea of like something like Rhystic Study,
Mm-hmm.
Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Simic, I would consider those good things because those are two cards in those colors
that are just objectively good.
They're just really good at what they do. They're not winning the game for you per se. They're doing what you want to do in the colors exceptionally well.
Okay.
And so if I'm playing those colors, I'm always going to consider those cards. Is kind of my thought.
All right, yeah.
I think it can be applicable to themes, like maybe there's just life gain good stuff, like what is the good stuff of life gain, like what would be the backbone? I would consider that maybe something, but that might be a stretch from what other people view as good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I'm kind of getting your perspective on it, because the more I think about it, like we have a kind of a weird culture in this game that, I mean, we have terms that aren't explicitly housed from the people who make the game. There's stuff like summoning sickness, like that's not actually a thing. It's just it's just a state of the card that we kind of needed to say something about it.
Yeah,
but really, if you go,
for it.
if you go through the rules, if you're ready to do that, you're not really going to find anything like Control F summoning sickness it won't give you any results. Really, that just says creatures can't attack the turn they're resolved, and they can't activate abilities that require them to be tapped.
Yeah.
And whatever else, right? Like that's what we mean when we say summoning sick, so it covers those things.
Okay.
So there's a lot of terms that I think that we use that there's that, right? But then there's terms that we use to kind of explain a concept or philosophy that covers a lot of, I heard once that like, it's kind of like if I said, boy who cries wolf, you kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because there's a story that unifies that,
Yeah,
right?
so like I could be giving you some story from work about people you've never met or whatever, or even talking about some process at my work that you're not even familiar with. But in the end, I kind of summarize it with, it's kind of like a, boy who cries wolf situation, or a tail wags the dog situation. Like we have ways. I don't know what the word is that. Like what is that? An idiom is right. Like
Yeah, but we oftentimes, like in the case of that, there's a supporting fairy tale that goes around it, right?
Yeah.
That gives you a connotation for the concept, the words, the idea.
Yeah. So
I think another example from Magic the Gathering is like if you asked people what 75% is in Commander, you would get a variety of definitions from people.
Yeah, and that one's actually kind of an easier one to follow back through the inner eye to find where it came from. It's, like there's a specific person that's responsible for 75%.
Yeah.
But
even he says like when you talk to people, like there's people that have different ideas of what it means.
Jason Alt finds people and he's like, I didn't think that's what I meant by that, but so it's becoming more nebulous as it gets further out from its origination point. But anyway, regarding good stuffs, so let me try to give you my definition, I guess.
Okay.
I think where I landed was it's really close to yours. It's cards that are not explicitly related to the commander, but yet are still good.
Yeah.
So I'll give you like an example, and this is probably like an easier one. Wild Growth is a card, right? If you looked at Wild Growth and you took Soul Ring, because let's say Soul Ring is like the ultimate good stuffs card. Let's just say it's the ultimate good stuffs card. It doesn't really care about any deck it's going to be in. Like there's a very short list of reasons why you wouldn't put it in your deck, and all of them are creative reasons, I would say, right?
Yeah.
But Wild Growth, on the other hand, is an enchantment for 1 mana, right? And it says enchant land. So you enchant a land, and it says whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, it produces an additional green. So if you have 2 lands out and you cast this and enchant the second land that you didn't use, you've turned it into basically a Soul Ring that makes you green.
Yeah.
And plus whatever that land does. You get 2 colored mana. If that land's an island, you're actually getting 2 different colors. If that land's a mountain, you're getting red green. So I don't know if I could talk you into give me one of your commanders, just any of them.
Let's go with Sachi.
Okay. Do you think I could well, maybe I could. If I told you should take out Soul Ring and put in Wild Growth and Sachi, would that be something that you'd want to do?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But I might want to supplemented or added in there with
Right.
it.
So in this example, yeah, you have to have really 2 lands to make this thing kind of put you into a mana neutral situation.
Yeah.
Where Soul Ring, it's like you only need 2 lands and you're mana positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or you only need 1 land and you're mana positive.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't.
It's
it doesn't
not better
equal
than
out.
Soul Ring.
It's not better than Soul Ring, but let's say we were talking about your Dank Chantress deck.
Oh yeah.
I probably could convince you to replace Soul Ring with this instead.
Yeah, because it's get extra mana, draw a card, get extra mana, potentially do some untap tap
because
type
it relates
stuff.
to your commander. It's
Yeah.
explicitly related to your commander because it's an aura or an enchantment. Like even if we're talking like Sigarda, right? Because you got Ancestral Mask in there, dude. Like,
Oh yeah, it
you know,
matters.
if you were that, I mean, this is kind of a really hyperbolic example because I don't think a lot of deck lists are so crunched that they're really trying to find a slot that Soul Ring is up near the top of replacements.
Sure, but
I'm trying to give
example.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you a picture of the absolute most good stuffy card is and where it might come in that you're like, okay, I kind of see where you're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where how can I explain away, you know, you don't have Soul Ring in your deck? Well, I have Wild Growth and it's an Enchantress deck. Oh, well, okay. You know what I mean? Like, all right, that's cool. Like, that makes sense.
I guess I get it.
Yeah, I guess I get it. Like, there was a time period because, you know, one of our house rules is that we mulligan away Soul Rings. Like, you can't open with a Soul Ring in your opening hand. That I was like, I don't even want it in Mizzix because
It's in the way.
once I got my experience counters in the right place, I
don't even need it.
I don't even really need. I know I actually need colored mana coming from stuff. You know, like I wish I had a mono blue Wild Growth at that point.
Oh fuck yeah!
So that's kind of my super hyperbolic explanation of what I feel like a
Good stuff.
But then it's like, is it a card or is it a commander asking for that? You know, because you'll see things like people talk about, oh, I want a mono black good stuffs deck. And
What does that mean?
so what does that mean? Does that mean, you could argue that almost every mono black deck is a good stuffs deck because they all include a very specific big black mana package. You know, all of them want it. There's very little reason to forego it.
It is very good stuff.
meaning Cabal Coffers, Nirkana Revenant, I guess is kind of on there. Yeah, Urborg,
Tomb of Yawgmoth,
Crypt Gas, like those guys. Everything, all of the Liliana the Dark Realms, like anything that's going to get you that crazy tap a swamp, get a lot of black in your mana pool setup. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to just like talk about good stuff commanders and how we feel about it. Like, I think there's this weird revulsion to it too. If you look at if you hear different content creators, like ones that you can tell they've been playing this game for a long time, they're looking to just avoid good stuffs because good stuffs are staples a lot of the time. It's effects that they've seen over and over and over
I was
again.
gonna say the thing is that they're things that we all experience a lot, right?
Yeah, like how many I mean, it's easy you can do top cards on EDH Rec for green, and yeah, like Cultivate and Kodama's Reach are going to be really, if not the top cards, one of them. And then Sakura Tribe Elder and all these, like, they're just objectively good green cards.
Right.
And I'm not trying to talk people out of using them, but I just think some commanders almost demand that you use them.
Oh yeah.
So who are they? Like, who would you say they are?
Who would I say? Or
yeah,
ones
like when
that-
I say good stuff's commander, like who's the first person that pops into your mind?
Honestly, I don't know, because it's not something that I really like use to conceptualize my sense of the game that often.
So let me put this out here as kind of just my thought about this. Like, and I could name a bunch, and again, like these definitions are pretty loose. Like I was saying, other people might have a different idea of what we're talking about when we say good stuffs. You know, it's not even really like a deck theme, but I would say that a good stuffs commander starts with a couple of traits, right? One is that you and I kind of have this concept of what's the commander's ask. Like, what are they asking you to do? What hoop are they asking you to jump through as a player? And what's their, and then the other part is what's the reward for meeting that ask? So a good one that we use is kind of like our exhibit A against, it's just kind of a boring deck or a boring ask is Joyra Weatherlight Captain.
Yeah.
So her ask is, hey, cast an artifact.
So it's just
or not an artifact, sorry, a historic
spell. But all the low end artifacts
Well, why low? Yeah, and the reward will be I will net you a card. I guess you could say her cousin Tatiova, because they're from the same set. Tatiova Benthic Druids. Hey, play lands, and my reward will be you will draw a card and you will gain life. So these are very easy things to do, and
you don't,
the reward is
because you just do what you're gonna do with that deck, and it doesn't matter. Particularly Tatiova, right?
Yeah, Tatiova.
I'm playing Simic. I'm going to play lands.
I'm going to play lands. So she turns a cultivate into, that turn
a land and a replacement.
Yeah, a land and a replacement. It turns it into a cantrip and a little bit of life gain just for the fuck of it.
Yeah,
and had you not played a land that turn, it could be 2 cards. Just from I don't have any lands in hand, but this cultivate's gonna get me 2 cards. I'll get my land play and the one I've got from the cultivate, and draw 2 cards and gain 2 life.
Yeah.
So those type of commanders, you would think they're the good stuff commanders, but they're kind of. I would argue that they're kind of not. Like Joyra, you would think you want the best artifacts ever in her deck, the best ones ever, meaning like things like. When I say best, I mean best in this format. So like Darksteel Forge or just really big, powerful artifacts.
Yeah.
But really, if you're looking at her again, her ask
am I going to put in a Mycosynth Lattice? And
Mycosynth Lattice, and I'm going to do the whole like Karn thing, and I'm going to get that KCI shit in there and all of that stuff, right? But really, I think because her ask is so specifically narrow, play a historic spin. We keep saying artifacts, but she
says historic.
But yeah, for now, for the rest of this conversation, when I talk about Joyra, I'm gonna just say on artifacts, because who are we kidding? But it makes more and more sense to just keep reducing the mana cost of those to the point where there is no mana cost, and you're just casting Moxes and every 0 costed spell, or like and yeah, they are some of the best artifacts, like. Seriously, right? That's why they're some of them hundreds to thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
But if we're thinking somebody kind of similar to her, like SRAM is vehicles, auras, and equipment. And he draws you a card. So his ask is, hey, do these 3 things or one of these 3 things, and I net you a card.
Because I was going to say that I think a lot of times when people say good stuff, there's some kind of thing attached to it. Like you said, I want mono black good stuff. I want graveyard good stuff.
Yeah,
I want it's artifact good stuff. I want, or they might say color typings. I want Mardu good stuff. Like oftentimes we hear that kind of stuff, hear that kind of a description.
And I don't know how to answer that one, I guess. My definition might not, wait, I didn't ask for that. Because if you said, I want equipment good stuffs, I'd be like, what are you asking? Are you just asking for like the best equipment? Or are you asking for the best cards that support equipment, like Sigarda's Aid and Stoneforge Mystic and Steel Shaper's Gift? Like what are you asking? So I don't know. I'm kind of trying to just have this conversation about this word of good stuffs, and I'll get to why it pertains to, I guess, Niv-Mizzet. I mean, it's probably obvious by now, but... but like kind of going with my point about SRAM, I don't think SRAM is a good stuffs commander because there's no other deck that wants a quarter shield.
Yeah.
There's no other deck that wants a quarter shield. It's not a good stuffs card. It doesn't fit.
It's not good stuff anywhere else. It's only good for him.
Yeah, I guess unless you're doing a Voltron Joyra, which, hey, what's your location?
More power to you.
Yeah. It's kind of, remember that other thing? We never really like said this on mic, but like the word shenanigans. That's one that just drives me fucking crazy. Like it is a word that is used so much in this community to describe everything. Artifacts shenanigans.
It's used
shenanigans. Black shenanigans. Zombie shenanigans.
It's
elf
used
shenanigans.
It's used so much that it's bereft of meaning now.
Right. I think good stuff isn't as bad as that, but
every now and then, like when we're recording something, I accidentally say shenanigans,
and I'll be like, "Did you just?"
Andy rolls his eyes, like they like spin to the back of his head. I see the white and like the red that's attaching the eyes inside of his like roll out to the front.
Yeah, like something from like The Thing, like a John Carpenter movie level of eye roll. Like, yeah. I can't handle the word shenanigans. It's funny to like encounter people that are new to yeah, I want to make, like, Cody uses the shenanigans a lot. Like, he was like, I just want to use, what was it that it was so fucking stupid. He was talking about Edric Spymaster of Trest. He's like, I just want to use unblockable creature shenanigans or whatever it's like, it's so specific.
And like, how is that shenanigan?
Yeah, how is that I don't know. But this is kind of falling into that, the whole like good stuffs thing. So what is a good stuffs commander if it's not somebody who has a really narrow ask? Well, it's the opposite of that. I think it's somebody whose their ask is very broad. They're not really wanting you to do anything specifically. I think they are kind of our, I want to say, like, the pillars of the good stuffs community, right? They're not really asking us to do something. So
like maybe like what comes to my mind when you're saying that is like, so is Queen Marquisa a good stuff's kind of a commander?
I think she could, and I think she could be. I think we've attached the whole politics thing to her. We've forced that identity on her because of Monarch, and because she came from a set and a narrative that was very
political in nature.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Machiavellian kind of.
Like there's the whole will of the council stuff that goes on and conspiracies,
right? And the whole, hey, we have to be attacking each other to take the monarch. Where the reward is that we just draw a card at the end step that we can't, a card that can't be live unless it's an instant when we draw it. But I mean, I love bringing that mechanic into the game, and people do chase after it at times. Sometimes that they can't be bothered to if they've already got their own robust draw engine going, but. I think we've projected politics onto her. But you're right, because what is she specifically asking you to do? She's not really asking,
nothing.
Like, her hoop is what? Like, just I give you the Monarch when I enter the battlefield. Hey, when I'm not the Monarch, I'm going to give you the probably one of the best tokens in the game.
But neither of those things are going to win the game for you.
Yeah.
They just help.
And it's not calling for a specific deck list. Like, you're like, well, what can I... Skull Clamp, I guess is what one of the cards that I think synergizes really well with her. Once you lose Monarch, you probably almost don't want to get it now, because you can just turn that for 1 mana. You turn it into 2 cards instead of 1, and you keep getting another. But I would probably put this out here as another one would be like Riku.
Oh yeah.
So while he does want you to do 2 different things, the 2 different things that he asks to do. So his whole language is that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you can respond with green and blue, and you will get a token copy of that creature.
Yeah.
And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you can respond with red or blue, and you will get a copy of that instant or sorcery. I think he's just kind of, to me, he's like one of the model citizens of Good Stuff Town.
Yeah, because pick what you want to do with that.
Because it's pretty broad. I mean, if I said, hey, I'm going to give you the best sorceries for their mana cost and the best creatures for their mana cost, and of course, kind of warn you against going over the top, because let's pretend you have to add these 2 costs to them, which is what I kind of learned playing Riku back in the day. Is you kind of get greedy and it bites you in the ass. It's gonna be a pretty good deck.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would say about what makes for a good stuff's commander is an excess of colors. So it's short of like the 3 that are really good on their own, meaning like, or really 2, green and black. Blue is really good on its own, but it has like a level of degeneracy to it that makes it good. It has some degenerate commanders that it's allowed to play.
Yeah, I would say outside of those commanders, blue is a facilitating color.
It's a facilitator
rather than like the star of the show.
Yeah, but green and black are, you and I have kind of said, the most independent of the color pie. They're really, yeah, like they're pretty independent. They're their own little like machines.
Yeah,
Black has a lot of answers to almost every problem, short of enchantments and I guess artifacts. If you really don't want to spend the money on the 1 card that actually deals with it, and it's sounding like we're headed in the direction that Black might be getting some help in that arena, specifically for enchant.
Yeah, which
removal.
is interesting.
It has the tutoring effects, which you've heard this a billion times, but yeah, it's really powerful. It's the card you need when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually has some pretty impressive ways to overcome mana problems. It really does. It has some pretty impressive ways to jump up in mana availability. And then card draw. While it's mediocre and compared to how blue does it, it's still pretty damn good compared to what everybody else has got to do to get it. And then green, you and I have kind of described as a pretty bled out color. It's almost like it's a good stuff's color. You know, it's almost like
it does everything you need it to do.
It's got removal. Like Beast Within is a pretty broad ass card. That's pretty dope. What it does pretty much everything you need to remove. You got a Beast Within for an answer.
Yeah.
Card draw. It has some very aggressive card draw. Like Rich Cards with Expertise is a disgusting card in a deck that wants to run it.
Oh yeah.
The card is crazy. Or even just like the low end ones like Harmonize is pretty okay. And
yeah, you'll take it.
You'll take it if you don't have a really big creature. So some of those mono decks, like I want to say, I can totally see somebody making a mono black good stuff deck. I could totally see somebody making a mono green good stuff deck. But the other three colors, I don't know. What does a mono blue good stuffs deck look like? Because if you talk to me about Azami, you're really focusing on very specific cards that are wizards that aren't really used anywhere else, you know?
Right.
Right.
Your good stuff in there is Cyclonic Rift for sure.
Maybe that's less true. Maybe that's less true because of Naban and Nala, but you get what I mean. Like she's got a very specific trajectory that she wants you to go down. Talrand, I guess you could make the case as a
like instant sorcery good stuff.
Yeah, because it's like the best cantrips and some of the most aggressively costed counter magic dot deck. You know?
Which is generic enough. You could probably say
you could probably argue that
good
one.
Stuff.
But Teferi, Chainveil, that's a pretty specific deck, right? Like that's you're really looking to get Chainveil and
that's a if combos are involved, you're not in good stuff, right?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is like if you're telling what we're looking for is a deck that just can't really be bothered to have a theme. You know, like what is Riku's theme? It's like we'll get 2 of everything. Cool. That's cool. As long as I pay the extra mana, I get 2 of everything in my deck. So why would you not make the best objective mana picks for the things that he's asking you to do?
Let me ask you, would you consider it to be, and maybe we're just getting into semantics here, but would you consider it to be like a theme good stuff? You know, like could you have an ETB good stuff deck? That's
what I'm trying to figure out.
Could you have
Can you have a good stuff and a theme? So
could
good stuff's artifacts?
A tokens good stuff deck? You know, because if you're doing tokens, there's a lot of stuff you see over and over and over again, but they're only applicable to tokens. Anointed Procession, Parallel Lives.
That's what I'm saying.
Primal Vigor. They're only applicable.
Some of them I don't know. Like I probably could say that Wild Growth is in almost every Enchantress deck. They're gonna make sure they have stuff like that. They're not really like they're agonizing over. Do I want the Cultivate or do I want the Sakura Tribuilder or do I want just the Fertile Grounds? You know, because of that one opportunity to draw a card and increase the power of my Ara'd up, whatever the hell, or my Tuvasa or whoever.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if a theme and good. I'm not saying that good stuff doesn't happen in a very focused deck. It absolutely does because they're objectively good cards. Like there's plenty of green decks that have an objective, but have cultivates in them.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to like my first example, like that Dankchantress deck can totally have Sylvan Library and Ristic Study because
they're both they just so happen to be fucking enchantments too.
But they do really well, like just for the colors. They're good things. Good stuff.
Yeah. So I think that the new Niv-Mizzet he's a good stuffs commander. He's the best 2-colored. He's just saying, look, when I enter the battlefield, I want to get you the best cards out of the top 10. So like to go over what he does. He's 1 of every color for a legendary creature dragon avatar. He's a flying 6/6, but when he enters the battlefield, you reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them. Put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So for each color pair, you choose a card. So let's run through this. He lands on the battlefield. Somehow, some way, all 10 cards that are revealed are all Azorius cards. You get 1 of those Azorius cards. Let's say somehow, some way, all 10 cards are 5 Azorius cards and 5 Dimir cards. You get one of the Dimir cards and you get one of the Azorius cards, right?
Okay, yeah.
So
I'm
you
following.
want the best ones. You're not going to, like, if I say, hey, it's, I don't know, I can't, there's a lot of shitty Azorius cards and a lot of shitty Dimir cards, but, you know, if I say, hey, here's your Baleful Strix and some other whatever, like a Mind Grind or something that has nothing to do with what you're trying to do, you're going to take the Baleful Strix out of the Dimir pile, and then the Azorius pile, I said, well, here's, what is it, Supreme Verdict, and then, I don't know, give me a really shitty Azorius card. Just, I can't even think of, there's too many, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you would pick the best ones.
Supreme Verdict for sure, yeah.
For the time, I guess, like for what you're facing in that moment. But that's all he's going to do.
Yeah.
So the ideal play is you play him and all 10 cards are one card from every, that would be the most insane play, is that you put him into play and you get 10 cards from each guild, right? Or sorry, 1 card from each guild. So all 10 are representative of each pair. So how can this deck not be a good stuffs deck? If that's the ask. Get me into play, I'll reveal the top 10, you get to pick one of each color pair out of those 10. And we already know that land are going to whiff, artifact ramp is going to whiff, monocolored ramp will also whiff. Like a lot of stuff will just disappear, and then they get.
And then the 3-color stuff whiffs, right?
Yeah, 3-color is not allowed. You can't do.
So weird.
You can't do that. Well, I mean, it's on theme. He's the living guild dragon now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is on theme, but it's just like you're playing a 3 or 5-color deck, but you're excluding yourself from some of those juicy 3-color spells that may be out there.
Yeah, so here's the thing about this like deck tech is it's going to be just the most duh of any all decks I've ever done. Cuz it's like, you know, duh. So my limitation was, I really wasn't going to have it. My limitation I put on myself was like, short of an artifact, I'm not going to whiff. Oh, and by the way, before we even go any further, Food Chain isn't on this list. So he's kind of one of these new food chain options for you.
I've been here.
Also, we're kind of in the middle of Modern Horizons spoiler season, and it's looking like we're headed in. If you like to speculate on cards, you're probably starting to get a little late, but Food Chain is definitely like and also 5-color is looking pretty pushed.
Pretty hot.
It's pretty pushed right now. So this episode might be more timely than
2019 5-color year.
Yeah, the year of the 5-color.
Year of the Wooburg.
Yeah, I mean adding more color, like kind of stepping back a little bit. Like it's harder to do with mono. You start seeing more good stuffy type stuff at 2-color. You really start getting exposed to good stuff at 3-color. At 4-color, like we're almost all on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Like we're and then 5-color, weirdly enough, like so far, some of the 5-color has been pretty targeted.
Yeah, so like slivers are going to be very targeted.
Yeah, slivers is like, you want the best slivers, but I wouldn't say that's good stuffs because that's,
it's hyper specific.
It's hyper specific. Or Najila is like, I want extra turns in warriors. That's in extra combats, but really at 5-color, it starts to. I don't know.
It becomes diffuse, and so a little bit. I would.
There's some that aren't, like Child of Alara seems to be kind of that was like the Planeswalker commander for a while there because it would board wipe, you know.
Yeah, and you could keep all your boards or your planeswalkers. There's also the Theros God one as well because they're all indestructible.
Well, I mean, you lose your planeswalkers with the Child of Alara, but I guess you threaten it, at any point.
Sure.
If anyone takes your, I don't remember. We had one guy that was doing it back then. He had a Child of Alara deck with planeswalkers in it. And it seemed like the only reason he had Child of Alara in there
the colors.
was should he ever lose his planeswalkers because we've removed them from loyalty, then he just starts dumping because it's just
it was retaliatory.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
a big crying baby that the Child of Alara is. But yeah, you do kind of, there is kind of like this weird tinge of good stuffiness with some of these 5-color commanders for sure.
Yeah.
But then weirdly, there's some that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they fit it. Like the Ur-Dragon. Yeah, okay, it's probably the best dragons, but some of them are like kind of reaching.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, and then, or Joda. I guess Joda does kind of,
It's definitely some good stuff.
He's just high CMC. Whatever people call it, high CMC tribal. That's another term that's starting to get overused. Is whatever tribal, high CMC tribal, hat tribal, tribal. That's another one that I've seen, like shapeshifters and things like that. Is tribal. Like, knock it off with the tribal. Time counter tribal. 3 CMC tribal.
3 CMC tribal.
Yeah, like 3 CMC tribal, sliver tribal, warrior tribal. Yeah, even stuff that just doesn't have an explicit tribe. But anyway, let's go to Niv-Mizzet.
Tribal.
Short of the food chain thing that I'm not willing to do, it's probably obvious that you need to find ways to get him in and out of battle. Right,
so
like you want him in and out of play, so you can get that trigger on the stack because he's an ETB commander, which they're not my favorite. But what were you gonna say?
Well, this is I'm pivoting a weird place right now.
Well, it's not a good time, Kyle. What are you gonna pivot to?
Have you looked at EDH Rec for Niv-Mizzet Reborn recently?
I mean, I did a week ago when I worked on the list, but why? What
Have
happened?
you noticed something that's in the midst of all of the signature cards?
Am I gonna be pissed? What?
It's half the guild gates in the signature cards.
Guild gates are in the signature cards.
It's really weird to me. And I would normally dismiss that because there's like not a critical mass enough, but there's 336 decks here.
What the fuck is going on here, man?
So like you're saying like, yeah, everybody, it's, you're going to be like, well, duh, Andy. And I'm like, well,
maybe.
I don't know. Maybe some people need some insight because some resources are not entirely clear yet, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know if people just don't know that lands don't have a color identity, or is he just a really popular budget deck right now?
Maybe.
Did a certain content creator make a video that everybody jumped all over and said, guild gates are the shit because they're only 30 cents and Wayfarer's bauble. And
I'm quite confident you are exactly right.
Yeah, that's what it is. The 339 people that took a stab at it were all budget lists, and here we are. And I'll be honest, like he makes for an attractive budget commander, because weirdly a lot of good stuff cards aren't. Some do fall into double color, but the most good stuffy cards tend to be, available in a lot of decks. Like Cyclonic Rift is another one of those. Like, hey, if it's got blue in its identity, you're probably including it.
Yeah.
But if Cyclonic Rift was like a Dimir card, it would see probably. Oh man, its playability would go way down. Even if it was Izzet, it'd probably go way down. There's all these other cards where like, oh, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's
now
a good point.
Brago can't run it. You know what I mean? Like, and anything that we can take away from Brago. Anyway, speaking of Brago, King Eternal, he's in this deck.
He is my king, dude.
He's in this deck because when he deals combat damage to a player, you can exile any number of target non-land permanents you control and choose those return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So he can get you another 10 of these, another 10 reveal.
Hey, swiggity swooty, Niv-Mizzet.
With my boy. Another version of him, or not version of him, but cousin, is the Mist Meadow Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same concept. You just pay to. So she's one in a hybrid white or blue. You can pay 2, a white and a blue. Exile target creature. Return that creature card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So you can do that during other people's turn, during yours. Access those cards. She's also Azorius, so she'll get hit when he drops. So I didn't put the Palancron in here, but that would probably be a good idea. But if you get the Palancron revealed in your 10, he's going to the bottom at random now.
Yeah, you're not going to see it.
You're not going to
be
see
helpful.
him. So that was one of my restrictions. Is like I'm not going to have any whiffs unless it's an artifact for ramp or protection. That's just in there. But there are other ways. Like you could do Ghostly Flicker. That's good enough. There's Cloud Shift, I guess. There's since you're in every color, there's a ton of options. You could do. I guess if you're okay with paying the mana, Conjurer's Closet, which I probably should have put that in here because you can just push it through, I guess.
Yeah, end of turn.
End of turn, he gets reset. Yeah, but that's So yeah, there's definitely those effects in this list of trying to get him to come in and out. Another, I guess, like desperate thing that you could do is clone him.
Oh.
So you just keep the original, like the clone comes in, you get the ETB, drop
And then
drop
just
the
drop it.
clone, and that's all you've done. Because he has 5 mana, and his tax is like, yeah, that's another idea. There's actually 2 planeswalkers that make good sense for this. There's 3 planeswalkers that make pretty good sense for him. One is Venser the Sojourner, because he just, you pay 2, exile target permanent you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So he's kind of like a Mist Meadow Witch effect on a planeswalker. Weirdly, the original Saheeli Rai, if you bring her loyalty down by 2, it says create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact and it shows other type, and that artifact gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. So I guess if you want to put the Felidar Sovereign in, or what is it, the Felidar Guardian in here, you could do that infinite thing if you want. But that one's a monocolor. Like, weirdly, it's self-limiting, the fact that you can't
You're
use...
trying to stick to 2 color spells completely.
Yeah. Then there's Kaya Ghost Assassin, so the original one. I don't know if she's worth $20 to get this bounce effect, but she's 2 a white and a black. You can pay 0, and it says exile Kaya Ghost Assassin or up to 1 target creature. So, your boy will be picked. And then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of its next upkeep. You lose 2 life. So he's kind of like, if you're feeling like maybe somebody's going to board wipe or whatever, you can kind of, bury him for a minute and then praise B when he comes back. I also put, just while I'm talking about Planeswalkers, I put the new Ashiok in there.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, she's just a good choke card. Like, she's one, sorry, I say she, but
It's kind of
I don't know. It's
kind of unclear.
Pretty non-binary, this one. So yeah, one a blue and a black, and then another blue and a black. So it's got the hybrid thing going on. It says spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library. So fetch lands are shut down, tutor effects are shut down, any of that kind of stuff going on. Yeah, get fucked, Evolving Wilds. But it comes in with 5 loyalty, and then you can bring it down by 1, and it says target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. But this is the effect I really like, is then exile each opponent's graveyard.
That's pretty nice to have 1 card that exiles all yards.
3 mana that
And you can
exiles
do it
all cards,
multiple
and then they
times.
got to attack into it to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of that. I'm pretty hot for that. And again, I'm looking for Dimir type stuff. Panharmonicon's in the list too. So we reveal 10,
reveal 10 more.
pick our 5, reveal 10, and then because you're gonna hit lands, you're not gonna get 10.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Trying to think of anything else that
I don't
really
know.
makes sense for this deck.
I wonder.
Also, there's weirdly a lot of legendary creatures in this list.
I
There's a lot
wonder.
of legendary permanents.
It would be really cool for somebody to collect data on how Niv-Mizzet Reborn. Like, what are the odds that he hits? Right.
Like,
What are
that
the
he
odds?
hits one of
what are
each,
the
or-
what are the odds that you are able to cast 10 from his reveal? Like 0.00001%.
what are the odds?
What
of
are the
getting an
odds that
ideal
you
draw?
cast 9
See,
cast 9 spells from his?
I thought about putting
Trigger.
Mana Severance in it, but it doesn't fit my restriction. Mana Severance just exiles all the cards in your graveyard or in your library, or sorry, all the cards,
all the lands.
all the lands. So you just you don't draw any lands anymore. But
even still, like
Can't
the crossover, like there's so much that goes into it. Like lands, not having anything that's not 2 color,
not 3 color.
not having anything that's
No 3 color.
like
no
not any
lands.
duplicates of any guilds. Like
he's weirdly
like in my brain, my gut is saying like I'm probably gonna plan on having 2 to 4 casts from the top 10 each time.
Yeah.
If the deck's built well.
I would say that if I was to seriously build this deck, I'm pretty sure that what I would want is, if I was going to break that whole, okay, it doesn't have 2 colors in its identity rule, the only things I'd be really considering is ways to get him in and out. So things like, the Teamer Sabertooth, or I don't know, that's a really clunky one, but anything that gets him flickering.
Yeah.
Deadeye Navigator, things like that,
Yeah.
where I'm just looking to flicker him. If you look at the CEDH list for this, they're not very interested in trying to capture a lot of cards.
They probably just
They're
need
just
to get
digging and digging and digging and digging. And
Yeah, it's probably just something that helps them like get
because it's
to-
happening so often. Yeah, like if you look at that list, it's pretty. It's got a lot of cantrips in it and stuff like that. It's not really
just
following the
getting into
good stuff's paradigm that I'm trying to push here with this. Another card that I thought is pretty cool with him is Congregation at Dawn. So it's green, and it's green, white. It's actually not that expensive of a card. It's only $1.87, but it's an instant. It says search your library for up to 3 creature cards, reveal them, shuffle your library, then put those cards on top of it in any order.
Oh.
So the setup with this is one, it's a gilded card. It could be revealed with him, or put in your hand by him. But then you pick 3 guild creatures. So I would suggest you get Brago and Aurelia as your first 2 for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Because now you're fucking going nuts.
Yeah,
Right?
you
I
get
think.
2 triggers with Brago, which means 2 triggers from Niv-Mizzet.
Well, and Aurelia buys you an extra combat.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So, yeah,
There's going to be
it's-
2 Brago triggers out of her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't know what the third one would be. I really like something that grants haste, of course. Like, I mean, if you're looking for Brago, so maybe if you have the mana, Garna, the Blood Flame. She was kind of my way to like recur some of my creatures should they die. Or you could grab anything that recurs that spell. So I guess you could grab the Izzet Chronarch and just do it again. Because it enters the battlefield. Again, like the Archaeomancer is a better card, but the Izzet Chronarch is 3 blue red. It says when Izzet Chronarch enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So you could put the Congregation back up there, or put the Congregation back in your hand, tutor 3 more, put them on the top. So now you have 6.
That would be a pretty dope play.
Guess, yeah. So you've
Like,
kind of
if you're
fetched
able-
up 6 cards.
Because you're basically like tutoring.
This is so insanely mana intensive. Like this is very
yeah,
high.
but the cash out is big, right? Like these are things that like you're not paying.
Yeah, I'm just looking for big guildy plays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just a big dumb deck. I mean, like the average CMC on this thing is 3.7.
It's decent.
Like I tried to keep it down, but it's pretty stuck at the 2. Like I have 14 cards at the 2 slot, 14 cards at the 3 slot, 14 cards at the 4 slot, and then at the 5 slot I have 7 cards. Or sorry, I have 16 cards at this 5 slot.
Wow.
Like 5 mana is just kind of where it's all landing. You know. What other ones where I
But
think
that
are pretty cool?
Congregation at Dawn, like think about a 3 mana tutor that in context functionally is putting 3 cards into your hand.
Yeah, it's a
right?
buried alive for this deck, I guess.
Like
little bit.
it's that's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I can go through all the card choices, but this is you kind of getting the point here. Like they're the best I could think of for their thing. I did actually put Niv-Mizzet Reborn in here because I can't help myself. But in my defense, there is 17 instances and 9 sorceries plus whatever else your opponents might cast you. You can net cards. I
Yeah.
did put Tatiova as well because she's just an easy way to draw cards for playing lands. Rashmi's also in here because of that CMC.
Plus it's gonna get you some free cast.
Yeah,
right?
Rashmi's 2 a green and a blue. It says whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than the spells you cast it without, or you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So it's kind of like a really shallow cascade-ish kind of thing. But if you don't, then you just draw it, put it in your hand.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. You just acquire the card no matter what. Either it's in your hand or in play. Like,
yeah, it's
you don't
dope.
even really need to plan around her ability, honestly. Dax Duplicant is also a really good clone effect.
Okay.
So it's 2 a white or 2 a red it's 2 a blue and a red. You may have Dax Duplicant enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it gains haste and dethrone. Like it's just a really fucking good clone, man. If you're an Izzet, it's definitely,
Seriously.
Every time I've never been disappointed when I cast that card, like ever. Also, rest in peace, Dak. Yeah, I got the Bloodbraid elf in here because it's like, let's just try to cascade into something. All the other cascaders they're either really low CMC where I didn't see myself hitting anything of value, like if I did the programming for it. Or they're more than 2 color. So
so they don't fit for
she's
you.
right there. She's 4 mana and she's a 3/2 haste, but she'll cascade pretty much the way you look at her is she's 2 cards strapped together. My force, it's kind of like the closest I could get to like a Rishkar's expertise type situation.
Yeah.
But again, like you're kind of just like, what is the synergy here? There isn't. It's just that she just so happened to be Gruul, you know? She's just Gruul. Minute and Den are in the list.
Because you're going to be doing
Because they let you play an extra land. That's it. It's like, cool, I can play extra lands. And yeah, you can return a land and grant target creature gains trample to the end of turn, which I guess that could be
depending
something.
on how you're doing this deck, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's say you really need, Brago to connect, I suppose, but I don't know if trample's the way to do that.
Probably not with him,
Yeah,
since he only does 2.
Yeah.
Right?
The Scarab God's in here because I wanted to get reach into other people's graveyards.
Okay,
And he's
yeah.
just once he's out, short of exile or in graveyard hate, he's just not going away.
Gonna keep doing it.
Or I guess theft. But he's just a good card. Plus he gives you one last chance with some of these other creatures. Yeah, there's just a lot of this kind of stuff going on in this whole deck. But that's the thing is, like, if I sat down, that's why we just
had this discussion about good stuff, because it's kind of good stuff.
You get like this weird feeling, you kind of feel like, I mean, I guess I could do that, I think for new players, good stuffs is a really good type of deck for them because it gets them exposed to good cards that they're thinking about in future deck building endeavors.
Yeah.
They're not looking at doing things like, oh, I'm going to put, I don't know, like suboptimal board wipes that are just a lot of mana in their deck.
Yeah, like it's really interesting to go through the cards on ADH Rec Forum. Like if we go to a section, we just look at the instance for Niv-Mizzet Reborn.
Uh-huh.
Like if I were reading these off and we weren't talking about Niv-Mizzet right now, it would probably be really hard to identify who the commander is.
So, that's a fun game.
So Terminate, Putrefy, Render Silent, Eladamri's Call,
It's all removable.
Golgari Charm, Counter Squall, Izet Charm, Turn to Mist,
I have Eldamri's Call on this list too.
Wear and Tear, Simic Charm. Like it would be very hard if I were just going through if I just told you those and we didn't know who the commander was. Like you might be able to piece together because they're all 2-color spells, but those are all just cards that you would see in Commander.
Yeah, but what if I did the same thing? Gitrog Monster, Rampaging Balos, Omnath Locus of Mana.
Yeah, this is Lord Windgrace.
Yeah, you're just like yeah. Hang on. Let's do that again. I'm gonna find another one. Let's see if you can guess the command.
This is really funny.
We just really weirdly fell into this. All right, you ready for this one? You ready for this one?
Okay.
Signature card. Strionic Resonator, Beacon of Tomorrows, Temporal Trespass, Part the Water Veil, Long-Term Plans, and Relentless Assault, and Temporal Mastery, and Omniscience, and Brainstorm.
So is this a Niv-Mizzet? Is it, or what is it?
Dude,
wait, I didn't hear let me go back.
Okay,
some of those towards the end.
I'm gonna go over this. Strionic Resonator is the number 1 card.
Okay, so we're trying to twin an effect.
Okay,
right?
Beacon of Tomorrows is the number 2 card.
Okay,
which is an extra turn spell.
Yes.
Temporal Trespass is another extra turn
spell.
Part the Water Veil is another extra turn spell. Long-Term Plans tutors a card but puts it 3rd from the top, but it's any card, right? And then Relentless Assault is an extra combat.
Oh, so this is why am I forgetting the name of it? It's Cascade, right?
Dude, it's Narset. You fucked this whole thing up. You've completely ruined this.
Dude, I've never paid attention to Narset.
It's probably because I didn't list a white card. Once I would have the next top card right after that is Swords of Plowshares, and you would have probably been like, okay, that's Jeskai. Because the top cards in this signature is a bunch of extra turn spells and then 1 extra combat spell. So yeah, I mean Niv-Mizzet's not too crazy because it's Izzet.
Anyway.
But yeah,
I was thinking the Maelstrom Wanderer was the next one that I was thinking.
He does want extra turns.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he falls into extra turns. All right, one more, just because I'm just I don't know. I'm into this all of a sudden. Let's do.
I'm gonna be really bad at this.
Signature. Well, do it to me. Pick one.
Okay.
I wonder how right I can be about that.
Yeah, let's do this.
I wonder how right I can be about that. Signature cards, dude.
Signature cards.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay, Seal of Primordium,
Seal of Primordium.
Secrets of the Dead, Muldrifter, Spore Frog.
Oh, it's Muldrotha. When you said Seal of Primordium, I'm like, it's Muldrotha. It's the first thing I thought. I was like, but I'm gonna wait and to be double
Get
sure.
some confirmation.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay,
Give me another one.
let me go a little further down.
This will be the last one because
down
we're
the
way
list.
off target with I mean, what are you talking? You know, this is. And by the way, that is a fucking crazy good stuff commander right there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
What's
saying.
he asking
Like,
you to do? He doesn't
it's-
even. You
it's
don't even
just-
need to fill up. You don't even need to fill up his the graveyard. Whatever. You know, Muldrotha's like, just play the best stuff, and I'll let you do it from the graveyard.
Okay, so this is a bad one to do.
Why? Because it's too obvious.
Yeah, some of them I'm just like, man, you're gonna absolutely know. Okay, let me do this one. Actually.
You're trying to.
I'm trying to obfuscate it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so signature cards: Diregraph Captain.
Okay, so that's a bunch of zombies now, right?
Wayward Servant.
Is Wayward Servant white?
It's white black.
Okay, well now it's Verena.
Yeah.
That's the only person that could possibly be.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, all I needed to know is when's the first white. If I don't hear a single white card, then it's either Grimgrin, Scarab God, or.
And that's kind of why I thought, I was like, he's gonna pick up the zombie thing pretty quick, and then as soon as you see white, you'll know.
Yeah.
But
all right.
but you see what like, it's kind of an interesting thing, I guess, that the reason I sort of brought that up that came to mind was just, if you're looking at Niv-Mizzet Reborn, it's kind of actually hard to tell.
Okay, let me throw this one back at you, okay?
Okay.
The only two signature cards for this guy is Rite of Replication and Parallel Lives. Who is it?
Rite of Replication?
Yeah, Rite of Replication and Parallel Lives. That's the only two spells for this commander.
So blue and green?
Yep. I can go into the top cards, but it'll make it worse. So the top card, the number one card is Cultivate, then Kodama's Reach, then Eternal Witness, and then Cyclonic Rift.
That's not helpful at all.
Yeah, and this is just proving my fucking point. Acidic Slime, then the Progenitor Mimic.
Is this like Mormor Vig or something like
No,
that?
this is actually Riku.
Oh, is it seriously?
This is Riku. This is Riku's Tinder page I'm reading to you right now. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, he's one of the quintessential good stuff commanders.
Yeah.
Because the top, his only signature card is Rite of Replication and Parallelize. But once you go to his top cards, it's Kodama's Reach and Cultivate, and then Eternal Witness and Cyclonic
and
Rift.
like all of those could be in any deck
And
that have those
twinning
colors.
Cyclonic Rift is what? I don't know. But yeah, and then Acidic Slime, Progenitor Mimic, Muldrifter, like, I mean, Explosive Vegetation's up there even still.
Yeah.
You know, Coiling Oracle. So yeah, this kind of.
I think that's a good way to illustrate the point, though. Like there's good stuff is you can kind of identify it on the EDH rec.
You
Like,
can
what
identify it
stuff
by not identifying it.
Yeah.
You can identify it by going, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what commander that is, because it's just not.
And maybe if you need a concept of what good stuff is, like, yeah, like if you can play this game with some friends and they can identify what the commander is without knowing what the commander is, that's not a good stuff
You
deck.
could do a whole fucking episode about that. But I think where good stuff, kind of what I was saying earlier, like, I think it's valuable for newer players. Like, Riku is a good deck building challenge for people to not get greedy. Like, I actually agree with almost all of those ones.
Well,
on
all
the
of those
signature.
cards you just read off, those are cards that
They're like 3 CMC.
that new
and-
players should be familiar with.
Yeah,
Like,
and they should be familiar with how often they're going to consider a Cultivate and to consider a thing. But the longer you play this format, you kind of fall away from wanting to do stuff like that. Like, I've mentioned these guys before, but they're a really good podcast. They're called the Commander Theory, and they're one of the things that they focus on very heavily is new archetypes. They're looking for new archetypes for this format. And yeah, I'm just like 100% in that camp of I want new archetypes to explore. And I think that's what most people are looking for that have played this format for a while. But these guys like this Niv-Mizzet or whatever, like, I think they have limited and short-term appeal because of they're just so broad.
Yeah.
you know. But then then there's the other part of me that doesn't like where the ask is so specific. And okay, wait, the commander ask that's really specific, I actually want that. The payoff is kind of like where I just get to draw a card. Like, that's the boring part. As much as I love Niv-Mizzet Reborn because I just can't help myself, his is kind of narrow. He's like, cast instant sorceries and I'll draw you a card.
Well, yeah,
and when I draw you a card, I'll deal some damage.
Like the coin flip partners from Battle Bond last year, right? Like, there's really only one deck that you build with that, and so it's not. It doesn't have staying power. You'll have experienced it, and there's nothing you can do to doctor it to have a different experience. It's that one thing.
Yeah, that's a really good example too. Like, that's way on the opposite side of and maybe you and I can come up with like a litmus test of what are we dealing with new stuff? Like, is this kind of in the good stuff's direction on the valley over here, or the like Okun and Zinder split, very, very specific thing that they're looking to do. And the card pool, the card mass, the arsenal available to them is so shallow that it's almost going to be the same deck no matter what.
Yeah. Like, those are the two nodes kind of on the end points of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame the command in that example. I don't think I would blame the commanders for being narrow. I blame the card availability for that. And not that I want more coin flipping. I actually really dislike coin flipping as an activity at all, let alone in my Magic the Gathering game. But, you know, it's really
right up there with finger snapping.
Yeah, it's like whistling in a public space. Like, you just shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be whistling in public. Like, you shouldn't. It's not a good time. It's not a good time, Kyle, to be whistling. You know.
I'm gonna do that next time we go to like buy curry or something. We're just gonna sit there and whistle.
That's not a good time to be whistling. So when we were kids, I've told you this story. It's just been like this joke lately, like, you know, and it uses the word good, so I'm going to relate it to good stuffs. But we were flying like this kite, me and my brother. And it was like, dude, we were just flying this kite in the middle of the street, dude. Like, it was the wrong place to be flying this kite. It really was. And this guy walks up to us, this random guy that we've never seen before in our neighborhood. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Hey." And we're like, "Hey." And he's like, "What you doing?" And it's obvious what we're fucking doing. We're flying a kite.
Flying a kite.
You know, and he's like, "You know what? It's really not a good day to fly a kite, guys. It's really not a good day." And then he walked the fuck off. That was it. So a couple weeks ago, me and Brad are coming back from getting like curry, and there's somebody out in our park nearby flying this kite because it's like April weather and it's like windy.
Yeah.
And he just says, "It's really not a good day." And I just like lost it. I instantly knew what he was talking about from decades previous. You know what, Niv-Mizzet? It's really not a good day, man.
It's not a good day.
It's really not a good day. I mean, what else can you say about Good Stuffs and Good Stuffs commanders? Okay, so Ravnica is almost done for us. We got one more episode that covers just some alternative builds and less hype commanders. And then, yeah, I swear to God, we gotta get out of this town. So the music from this episode is Protector 101. The song is Program from his album Solitary Star. And the sonic sexuality you're hearing right now is Silver Richards. The song is called Dropout, and it's from his album Despair. Find some time to seek their music out. They really are generous to let us use their music. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Take care, and we will see you again.